Welcome back, dead listeners. I just wanted to point something out that happens to me all the time here in the funeral business. This story's not going to be about a dead person, it's going to be about me. We're going to call me Funeral Ranger Francine. I like the sound of that. It's not my name, but here I am. Making funeral rangers. Some days good, some days bad. Let me tell you a little story about something that happens often, okay? We're going to use orange for everybody else here today. We're going to call people Caller Kate. Here's Caller Kate. Kate is pushing about, say, 75, 80 years old. She's worried about how much money it's going to cost her children. Maybe she has 5 of them. How much money is it going to cost her children for a burial or a cremation? So she calls me. Ring, ring. Let's see if we can make a telephone here. That actually looks like part of an intestine. All right, never mind. She calls me on my telephone number and asks me the question, Funeral Francine, what can I do to get my funeral or my cremation paid for before I die? And there's one of 2 things that I know of that can happen. You can either set up kind of like an insurance. Yes, there is an insurance company out there that will set up a policy to cover your cremation or burial in full, and you make small monthly payments, say $20 a month or more. Who knows? Depends on what you're asking for. If you die before that policy is paid off, or the amount, then this insurance will cover the costs of your cremation or burial. If you pay all of the amount before you die, well, then it just accumulates interest until something happens to you. Caller Kate will hear all this information, absorb it, and say, okay, thank you. I'm going to think about it, and I'll call you back when I decide what I want to do. Sounds great. So what Kate did while she was talking to me was she took a little note, and she scribbled my name, my phone number, and the number of prices, and maybe labeled something on it that says pre-arrangement. Right? 2 years later, poor Kate, she dies. And all 5 of her children don't know what to do. They don't know what she's done. But one of them happens to remember talking to Kate before she died. And Kate had mentioned to this one child that she had talked to a funeral home about pre-arrangement. This happens all the time. So this child tells all her brothers and sisters, Mom took care of everything. It's all paid off. We're good to go. Yay! So they call me and tell me Mom has died. And I'm sorry, I'm sad. But what can I do for you? Well, she has this note, and she told one of the kids that she took care of everything. Here is a common phrase, and you know what? Just for your sake, so I hope you all understand, this is a phrase that I hear all the time. Took care of everything. This is what people tell me on the phone after Mom or Dad or somebody dies. They took care of everything. Well, then my next question is going to be to that child or person, great. Who did they take care of it with? Is there a policy number? Are there paperwork or forms that they have signed? Is there a receipt that shows they paid everything for cremation or burial? Then family gets frustrated. Little angry eyebrows here. No, there's this note, they tell me. It's got your name and your phone number on it. All that proves to me is that they've called me It does not mean that they took care of everything. So now you have children with thousands of dollars of a possible payment for a burial, even $1,000 or $2 for cremation. In some states, cremation can cost up to $6,000, maybe more. Depends on where you're at. Depends on how many funeral homes are in that county that can corner the market. Yes, they can do that. So make sure, if you're talking to mom or dad, and your mom is caller Kate, and all she did was call and ask one question, and I answered it, does not mean that she took care of everything. Ask her for copies of the paperwork. Ask her for the insurance form or a policy number. Policy numbers are very important when it comes to some kind of insurance that will pay. And even if you have a policy number, please make sure you understand what kind of insurance it is. Just so most people know, some life insurance policies, actually most of them, won't pay until they have a receipt that shows that the cremation or burial is paid in full, which means that you have to front the money yourself, then you get reimbursed for how much you paid. Remember that. All right, guys, I just wanted you to understand the 4 horrible words that we hear all the time in the funeral business. They took care of everything. Just make sure if you have a loved one that says they took care of everything, get copies of the paperwork and find out exactly what they took care of. Because otherwise, you're going to be up shit creek with the kind of debt that you're not expecting. A little note with somebody's name and number is not going to cover the cost of cremation and burial. Just saying. All right, guys. I hope this helped information. Otherwise, I just probably bored you to death. Either way, live your life to the fullest, okay?